honestly, Delulu is the Salulu. One of my good spiritual sisters, she speaks on operating on delusional faith. So instead of spending so much time looking around you and seeing what you don't want to see, this is the opportunity for you to look at the world through a new lens and pay attention to what you do love about your experience. It could be the tiniest thing. Peace family, welcome back to another episode of A Moment with Zen. I am Zen. I specialize in helping people uproot childhood and intergenerational trauma so that they can inherit a legacy of psychological, mental, physical, and emotional well-being. And so before we start getting into today's talking pieces, we're just going to take a moment and take a big collective breath in the nose, expanding your belly like a balloon. You can close your eyes now if you like. And we're going to release that breath. As you release the breath, allowing your shoulders to just drop, allowing the fingers to relax, allowing your jaw to relax, the neck, every single part of your body. As we get grounded into the collective space to open our minds to receive everything that's delivered today. And so we'll take another breath in the nose, hold it, releasing out of the mouth. And we'll take a final breath in the nose, holding it for just a moment. And a cleansing release, full of gratitude, 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 gratitude out the mouth. And hopefully that got you feeling more grounded, feeling more here, feeling more present. I know it did for me. I've been running around all day, and so I am happy to be here today to share with you in knowledge, wisdom, and in healing. So today, we're going to dive into why do you think so negatively and how do you stop it? So first, let's start with digging into the implications of your mind. You can imagine that your mind is like a TV screen. And so when you were birthed into this reality, when you came out of your mother's portal, your mind was essentially free and clear. There was nothing on the TV screen. This isn't accounting for ancestral imprints, karmic imprints. We ain't necessarily talking about that today. But when you were born, you can imagine you had a clear screen. You were seeing the world as it is. And so as life started to happen, as you started to take in your environment, because we are beings who receive through our five senses. And so as your environment was coming in through your eyes, ears, your sense of taste, smell, feeling, what started to happen was things started to imprint themselves on your TV screen. You started to form ideas, you started to form beliefs about the things that were happening in your outside world. And so things that didn't feel so good, as well as things that did feel great, imprinted themselves on your screen. So now, when you look out through that screen, it's no longer clear. You start to see the world through the lens of whatever has come in through your senses that you've unconsciously decided to keep. A lot of what imprints itself on people's screens is negativity. And so people are walking around the world, they're looking at the world, but they're looking at the world through the lens of negativity and through the lens of their trauma. Honestly, they can't help this. And now, what happens from this? Based off of what you see, now that goes into your mind, and now you start to think negatively as well. You start to form thoughts based off of what you see, and then now you start to see based off of your thoughts. And now it's this never-ending loop. You think the thing, now you see the thing. Now you think the thing, now you see the thing. So how do we break free? How do we get out of this? Another great analogy for the stuff that has imprinted itself in your mind is a pond that once was clear. If the pond was clear, if there is no trauma, if there are no negative impressions, you can look straight down and see to the bottom of it. But whenever a trauma happens, whenever something happens that sticks to you, now a rock is in that pond. And most of us, I say us because me too, most of us have a very rocky pond. You look down and now you can't see the bottom anymore. All you see is a pond full of rocks. And so what we're tasked to do on the healing journey and on the spiritual journey is to start to one by one pull those rocks out of the pond. And so one by one, we start to cleanse the perception and cleanse the mind of a negative way of thinking. So why is it so difficult for people to start to cleanse the screen or to start to pull those rocks out of the pond? One, because of the things that have happened in your experience, because of the trauma, because of the disappointments, most humans' brains are wired to think about and focus on what they don't want and what they don't want to happen. This life experience that you're living right now is not the single cause of that, and that's where we start to take karmic imprints and the concept of the collective consciousness and the collective unconscious into account. The collective unconsciousness is composed of every single thing that has ever happened in the history of humanity. And so what that means is there's a cavern in your mind that is holding the history of every single thing that has ever happened. So with that, you've got the imprints of your own life as well, but there's something back here that's remembering the fear of everything that's ever happened. It's remembering the entire history of the world's trauma. And so, in that same token, it's remembering all of the pleasurable things that have ever happened. But because of the way that our brains work, we tend to focus on what we don't want. And so, all of these memories through the expanse of time are coming forth into your conscious mind. And so now you've got to deal with the things that are happening in front of you now. So instead of thinking and speaking in terms of, I do want this, I do want that, most humans are wired to first think about what they don't want to happen. And the universe doesn't understand the word don't. It hears the subject. It hears or sees what you're focusing on, so just the subject. So when you say, I don't want ice cream, what tends to happen is ice cream will appear in front of you because the universe heard ice cream. And so you do this in so many different areas of your life, and honestly, it becomes second nature for people to where they don't even realize that they're doing this. There's a situation where the guy who cuts my grass, one day he decided that he wanted to hit on me. I wasn't here for it. So at that time, my first instinct was avoid, 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 avoid. But I'm like, this man is cutting my grass, and I really just want you to just cut my grass. We've had a very great relationship with you showing up once a month for 2 years and cutting my grass, and it's been amazing. So can we just do this? So the day after he hit on me, the next time he comes to cut my grass, I see him outside, and I immediately start thinking, I don't want him to say anything to me. I don't want him to say anything to me. As I was thinking that, I could feel it coming closer. I could feel the energy of him actually interacting with me approaching, because what universe was hearing was, say something to me, versus I don't want. And so once I felt what I was creating in that moment, I had to change it and say, what I would like is for him to focus on his work. What I would like is for him to just cut the grass. And I had to just leave it at that. And what happened? I went outside. When I went outside, somehow, some magical way, he went to my backyard. That man didn't even see me. So this is how you alchemize those types of situations. So instead of thinking about what you don't want, change it into what do you want? What do you want to happen for you? And speak it in a way that's affirmative. Even with the word want, we've got to be very careful about that with telling the universe what you do want, because now you're saying, I want, I want, I want. And what you receive is more wanting. Universe hears, oh, you want, you want. And so you will remain in a space of wanting versus I have, I am, it is. So don't think about what you don't want to happen. Affirm what has already taken place and spend more of your energy entertaining thoughts, ideas, and realities that affirm what you desire. And so now thing number 2, you spend your energy thinking about what is. And so that goes along with the affirmation of what you desire, but you spend your energy thinking about things that you cannot change. So you look at your current situation, which maybe is undesirable to you in the moment. That's a whole nother thing with resisting what's happening. But perhaps what's happening in your experience is not the most ideal experience for you. You spend so much of your energy thinking, man, this sucks. Man, I don't like this. Man, I wish it were different. Instead of, again, using your thoughts, using your creative power, using your words to affirm a new reality. What's happening is what's happening. Yes, it's real. Cool. But honestly, the Lulu is the Salulu. So there's one of my good spiritual sisters. She speaks on operating on delusional faith. So instead of spending so much time looking around you and seeing what you don't want to see, this is the opportunity for you to look at the world through a new lens and pay attention to what you do love about your experience. It can be the tiniest thing. In the beginning of my journey, something that I really had to do was wake up every single morning and express gratitude for the smallest things. I was really in a deep emotional pit. I was. But I promise you that if you wake up every single day for 21 days, it takes 21 days to form a habit. If you wake up every single day for 21 days and just before you pick up your phone, thank you for breath in my body. Thank you for a warm bed. If you don't have a warm bed, if you're sleeping on the floor, thank you for this floor. Thank you for a blanket. Thank you for every ounce of anything. Express gratitude for every single thing that you can think of, even the tiniest things. When I did that, I started to look at my world differently, because the more you express gratitude now you're alchemizing your own energy. Now this is how you're changing your own mind. You're telling yourself, look at the world through a lens of what I'm grateful for. And now you're telling the universe, hey, I'm thankful for things. And the universe is like, oh, cool, I'll give you more things to be grateful for. Versus, I really hate these things. Now I'm going to give you more things to hate. This is how it works. So, number 3, you're focusing your attention on what was. And this is the thing. This is the biggest thing for most people. Your energy is so caught up in the past. It's so caught up in what was. You are living in the past. You're day by day. You're replaying past scenarios. You're thinking the same thoughts that you thought 2 years ago. You're thinking the same thoughts that you thought yesterday. Think about how insane that is. Imagine, you know what? I actually did this today. I found myself opening my phone, my thumb immediately went to Instagram. There was nothing to see. I closed it. My phone went to TikTok. There was nothing to see. I closed it. My phone opened my thumb opened my email. There was nothing to see. I closed it. I put the phone down. Maybe I went and did something else. I picked the phone up again. My thumb went to Instagram. And I was like, what the hell is happening here? What is happening? And there have been days where I have been so lost in that pattern. And this is what happens. People are lost in the patterning of their past. But there have been days where I've been so lost in that pattern where today I stopped, I noticed it, and I was like, you know what? We're going to take a social media break. We're just going to stop. And I just imagined my ancestors and the higher power looking at me like, there she go again. Every time I picked up my phone, there was nothing for me to see. But I just imagined them being like, there she goes again. There she goes again. And so this is what's happening when your attention is focused on what has happened. How does it benefit you to continue to think about the past? How does it benefit you to allow your mind to continue to loop round and round and round around the same scenario? You're thinking about what happened with your ex 2 years ago. You're still arguing with these people in your head. You're thinking about something that happened and you're maybe trying to create a different ending. No way, no how are you able to change the past. And so whenever you do that, whenever you catch your mind doing that, it benefits you to come back to the present moment. This is something I had to do because I was somebody who would be running those scenarios over and over in my mind. I was having arguments with people in my head, and I'd be like, who are you arguing with? They're not here. Mine just stuck in the past. So anytime I would do that, I would have to bring myself back and be like, all right, I've got hands. Here are my hands. Here are my fingers. Here are my knees. Anything. Bring yourself back into presence by reconnecting with your body and where you are right now. All right, I'm sitting right here. Feel into your breath. As soon as you find yourself start to spiral, come back here, and you can even you start to touch. Feel whatever it is. Something that really helps me come back into presence is washing dishes. Taking a shower and washing dishes. I've never seen an angry person wash dishes. Never. I've never seen someone be mad and wash dishes at the same time. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's a way to bring your mind right back to the here and the now. And it's a way to start to alchemize that energy. So as you become present with what you're doing, then take a breath. Okay, I know my mind was in the past, but what do I actually desire? What do I want to happen? What do I want to see come forth? And so those three things. You're thinking about what you don't want. Come on now. Why would you even want to do that? Why would you want to? But understanding it's unconscious. It's unconscious. You're thinking about what you don't want. You're thinking about the negative aspects of your current situation. And again, understandably, some things don't feel good. But what can you do about it? If you do have a solution, go do it. Otherwise, those are your two options. Either you pray or you do something. Ruminating about it is doing nothing for you. And then number 3, your mind is stuck in the past. There is nothing for you there. I've given you a couple of different ways to start to alchemize that energy, but truthfully, what needs to happen? When you find yourself in these negative thought loops, what a lot of people do is start to fight themselves mentally. So you start to have a conversation with whatever version of you is doing things up there, and you start to try and combat it. A lot of people tell themselves, shut up, get the hell out of here, stop thinking like that. There are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that I hear when I'm doing sessions with people. I hear the way that they talk to themselves, and I'm like, ooh, if I were you, I wouldn't like it in here. What you're doing is feeding more lower and dense vibrations into your mental, into your body. Your body is hearing every single thing that you think about yourself. And so when you're having these conversations with yourself, it's not only staying up here. Your body is taking it in as well. What needs to happen is the density needs to be chipped away at. Things that have a lower vibration, so emotions such as anger, bitterness, resentment, worry, shame, guilt, things of that nature, they are dense. And so they present themselves as problems in your situation. And so now, with the presence of those emotions, your mind is like, oh, there's a problem, now we've got to solve it. And now it starts to go on these loops. It starts to go in the past. It starts to look here. It starts to look there. It's trying to look around and see what's the solution to this problem. Really, it's trying to help you. It's not doing a great job, but it's trying to help you. And so what exactly is going to cut through density? What's going to chip away at a lower vibration? The only way to truly transmute a lower vibration is to bring a higher vibration into the space. Lower vibrations cannot exist in the same space as a higher vibration. So you retrain your mind, you alchemize this energy. You decrease the amount of negative thought loops that you have by reinforcing it with a higher vibration. What's a higher vibration? Gratitude, contentment, love, joy, compassion. You transmute those lower vibrational energies by feeding yourself those energies. You will get absolutely nowhere by fighting yourself. Y'all had to learn this lesson the hard way. This is something that I toggle back and forth with. At one moment, I'm in awareness that, you know what? You should be nice to yourself. And then on the other hand, I get so sick and tired of hearing what I'm saying up here. And so I'm like, look, look now. But whenever I get into that energy, I feel the energetic block that forms between me and the path. I feel the blockage in the energetic flow. And so understanding that these lower vibrations didn't come into your mind and into your experience in one day. So it's going to take patience, it's going to take compassion in order to now work with a mind that's accustomed to thinking a certain way. Another aspect of this, and just being very honest, it is retraining your mind, but the mind and the body are so intricately connected. So whatever is happening up here, it's feeding it down here. So as you are reaffirming yourself in gratitude, in joy, in contentment, in I'm okay with what's happening in my experience. I'm always in the right place in the right time. Everything works out for my benefit. I hear you. I hear you're saying that to me, but you know what? I love you anyway. I'm going to send you love anyway. As you're starting to do these things, now you've got to transmute this energy through the body. How do we do this? So, a couple of different methods that I use with myself and inside of sessions. One, a lot of y'all need a real big scream, especially if you're carrying a lot of anger and resentment. Anger is such a hot emotion, and anger is hurt and disappointment that haven't been expressed, and so they've been compacting and compounding on top of each other. I know it might feel odd to think about just screaming, but you can imagine this is like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Toddlers are really smart. Toddlers are really great at not allowing energy to get stuck in their body and not repressing their emotions. So your girl loves a good tantrum. I love a good lay on the ground scream and punch the ground and stomp. So that's one way to transmute the energy. There's something called a holanthropic breath. And so if you're someone who you feel the energy there, but you're like, I'm not sure exactly how to feel that it's ready to burst, the breathing pattern is you inhale twice and then release. I typically have people do this about 7 to 10 times. When you get to about that 7th time, you ain't gonna wanna do it no more because you're gonna feel the emotion come up. But continue to push through the discomfort. After about the 7th through the 10th time, you grab a pillow and you scream into the pillow. I promise you, you're gonna feel so much better. So that's one. 2, another great way to free up some of the dense energy, some of the negative emotions from your body is through movement, through dance, through simply just twisting. Move your hands, do something, move your body. But any type of movement, and I like to do little waves. Any type of movement is moving the energy through your body. Another great way is through tapping. So anywhere that you feel the tension, a lot of people carry so much tension in their gut, in the heart space, in the throat, in the shoulders, anywhere that you feel tension, tap there. And release. So, along with thinking thoughts that feel better to you, this isn't about, what do people call it, toxic positivity? Toxic positivity. Be real about what's happening in your situation. But as I also said, Delulu is a Delulu. It just makes more sense to choose thoughts that feel better. So, along with choosing a thought that feels better, choosing a thought that actually propels you forward in the direction that you want to go instead of keeping you stuck in the past. And then working with the body through the breath, through tapping, and through just grounding yourself in wherever you are. Those are a couple of ways that you can start to reframe these negative patterns and hop yourself out of these negative thought loops. We touched on needing to work with both the body and the mind in order to truly get yourself out of those negative thought loops. But let's touch just for a moment on how the body is responding to the way that you're thinking. The body is made up mostly of water, and water is a transmuter of energy. Water also holds memory. So your body is holding the memory of every single thing that has ever happened to you, along with things that have happened to you in other lives, ancestral memories, all of that good stuff. But again, we're gonna focus on the right here and the right now because all of the healing that you need is possible in this life. Learning to connect with your body's language is the perfect way to understand exactly what is happening in your mind and what's happening inside of your experience. I say very often, change your mind to change your life, because it's true. Your mind is your creative plane. And so anything that you see up here, in some reality, in some dimension, you've manifested it. So in the same way that you have the power to create a desired reality, is the same way that you currently are using your mind to create a reality that you don't desire. And so in order for you to walk forth in freedom, in wholeness, in self-actualization, it's imperative for you to shift the trajectory of your mental plane from one that sees mostly the negative to one that is ripe and is ready to receive everything that you'd like to spring forth in your experience. The creative power is yours. And so in closing, I'm going to read a short passage from There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Let nothing disturb thee. Let nothing dismay thee. All things pass, God never changes. He who has God finds he lacks nothing. God alone suffices. And so with that, I thank you all for joining me for another episode. I pray that you received every single thing that you needed to receive today. And again, I'm in just such gratitude for every single one of you that has taken the time to join me, in conscious communion. And with that, amen, ashe, namaste.